Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday live stream. Hopefully you're doing pretty good for your morning. Oh, I got to pause my replay over here. Trying something a little different this morning, seeing if I can have it record the chat, but I don't know if that's going to work, but we'll have to see. Testing out new and exciting things. So on that, entertaining myself over here. Welcome to Break the Cycle with DSD. I am your host, Duane. I'm not a therapist, nor am I an attorney. I'm an individual much like you who has been through a traumatic and difficult experience, one that I didn't think I was ever going to get through. I think we might talk about that a little bit today. And over the almost decade that I've been going through this, I've developed tips and techniques that I use to save my sanity that I share with you to help you do the same. Get your life back, minimize the effects of narcissistic abuse, and if you have kids, tips and techniques on how to repair, strengthen, rebuild the relationship if you have any kids. One thing I always like to mention is, remember, only a licensed professional can diagnose an individual with a personality disorder, and they need to do that in a clinical environment, not over the internet. So just be careful throwing around medical terms when you do not have a diagnosis, because that can hurt your credibility. And that's the one thing that we have to focus on, not the only one thing, but a very important thing, is remembering that our credibility is really the key ingredient of success through this. So don't do anything that will compromise that. If you like what's going on here and you want to support the channel, you can do that by becoming a channel member. You can do that by going over to youtube.com/dadsurvivingdivorce. Click the join button. There's many tiers, even the smallest amount, I think the lowest level is, it's either $1 or $2. Every little bit helps. It all adds up. And if you do that, you get special badges, custom emojis, your name listed in the credits, and access to member-only events. So please consider checking that out. If you want to get notified via text or SMS message, text DSDLIVE to 844-598-0012. That's 844-598-0012. That works within the United States and Canada. And then if you do that, you will get a cool text SMS 5 minutes before the show goes live, like today when I did it correct. When I do it correctly, I guess I have to throw that in there, and you'll get a direct link so that you don't have to necessarily worry or hope, pray that YouTube will actually let you know. And finally, speaking of phone numbers, the phone lines are open. If you want to participate in today's show, you can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483, 1-424-DSD-LIVE. Oh, the white chat manager, sorry, I always say that wrong, believe it's $1.99 for the lowest tier. So, yeah, and the other thing is I just figured out how to make, which I didn't know you could do this, but you can integrate, or I can integrate, my Discord into or with the channel memberships on YouTube. So if you are on Discord and you have your YouTube channel linked, you automatically get access to the member area via the DSD Discord. I mean, how exciting is all of that stuff? It was exciting for me to figure out how to make it work and how to break it. Okay, I'm just clicking in my headphone thing. I have this little thing under here so that I don't get caught, and it puts it in the right place. All right, let me double check everything. Yesterday I messed up. Aw, thank you. Speaking of members, I just got Checo Schmidt just became a member. So thank you so much, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you for the support. And if you can't figure out or if you have problems on the Discord, just ping me later. Oh, for anyone, I was talking to someone, I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day, guy I knew maybe 15 years ago. And he inadvertently found my YouTube channel. So then we finally were talking on the phone, and then he made a comment. He's like, how do I email you? I'm like, dude, just scroll down in the description. If you found the channel, just look there and you'll find my emails. That's pretty funny. It was weird though. It's weird to talk to somebody that you've known who's also talking about your channel. And it's just, that was a bizarre conversation. The sad part is as I was talking, and who knows, maybe he's listening. Well, he's not a morning person, so maybe he's listening to this on the replay. But the weird part was he was like, "Man, you got some really good information. I actually learned a lot about my situation." I'm like, glad to help there, man. It's amazing. All right, let me see who all's here. We got a handful of people on. I appreciate you guys, the early crew. I know this is, I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, probably for people that this is actually the morning, then this probably is a good time. For people where it's in the afternoon or later part of the day where it's harder to earmark the time, I could see how this is complicated. Let me see. I'm gonna look and see who all we got going on, or who all's here. Jack. Speaking of that, Jack's from Australia, jumped in early to say hello before, I think she says, well, I'll just post it. I'm just going to call her out. It says, getting in early to say hello as I've been falling asleep lately beforehand. Well, I'm glad you made it. And, Node says, I'm here, got much coffee. I got my coffee. Now, unfortunately, I need to change my routine to where I get coffee I'm on my second cup by the time we start the show. But unfortunately, I have not been able to do that yet. It's one of those things where I I guess I want every extra moment of sleep that I can get. Man, we got a lot of people here today. That's cool. Let's see. All right. Oh, the other thing I want to mention is if you have any questions for today and you want to do that in the comments, just do tag me. Just go at DSD and it'll highlight my name, which helps bring it up. And if you could put a Q in there so I know that it's a question directed at me. Because oftentimes once this thing starts rolling, you guys start chatting amongst yourselves and it makes it a little more complicated to figure out what is, oh, Jax is still here. What's going on? So, all right. So the topic I wanted to get into today is, and I'm going to hit this because I missed this yesterday, and this will be quick. It's just a thought that I wanted to hit, and that is, you still have to live your own life. And I can remember when this started, I felt like I was basically in neutral, just wasting time. Which, I mean, rightfully so. I mean, you're dealing with an emotionally traumatic experience. Your world has been ripped upside down. Your finances are probably obliterated, so it's not even like you can actually go do anything you really want to do, because we're all conditioned that happiness is tied to money to be able to do things. However, maybe maybe you guys are more enlightened than I was, but this was hard for me. And I just put it in the comments. Are you in your happy? Can you find happiness right now with basically nothing? Or do you feel like you've been knocked down so far that happiness and being able to live your life is so far away that you're not, it's like not even reachable? I can recall early in this when I'm looking at my bank statements, I don't have any, I can barely have money to turn, to turn on the air conditioning during the summer. That was not a first good couple of years, I can tell you that. And I just felt that I was just sitting there spinning my wheels, not able to live. And I was so angry and frustrated and bitter. And the idea that I was just taking my 40s and just throwing them away, waiting until family court was over, that I could start to rebuild in my mid 50s was a daunting. To be honest, the main way that I was able to overcome that, to survive that, was to get basically angry and say to myself, to my, not to my ex, but like toward the situation, you are not going to break me. I am not going to give up. I am going to keep breathing. I'm going to keep, just sitting here, just sitting in idle and not go away. And I'll get my life back is what I was telling myself. I will recover from this, even when I didn't believe I would. Now, to be honest, when I was in that mindset, I was not living my life, nor was I finding any peace and joy. Because of a lot of the things, the shenanigans that the ex was doing prior to or during all this, a lot of the things that I still had that I really enjoyed, like my cameras, I put on the shelf because the ex was basically threatening, well, that's worth a lot of money. I want my half of that. For you podcast listeners, I was doing one of my notorious bobblehead impersonations. And the thing is, if you are in that mode, if you feel that that's the way you're at right now, you owe it to yourself to find some piece of joy or something that you can appreciate. Maybe that's not the right word, but during that time. I screwed myself up in my own mindset with like the camera stuff by putting it away and it taking so long for it to get to a point where I felt that it wasn't going to be under attack because I was mentally just preparing myself for the person to be able to take that. And whenever it came to the time that I should have been able to okay, I can live my life. I was already kind of messed up in the head. Find something that you like to do. I don't care what it is. If it's just something as simple as you just like the minimalistic lifestyle, you like it open in your house and you want to listen to music on your phone, right? But you can't be thinking about it like, man, I had that nice sound system with a nice amplifier and the nice speakers. It sounded so rich and exciting. And now I'm listening to this on the speaker on my phone because that's all I have. Laying on the floor because that's all I have. I don't have a couch to lay on. And there was a period of time where this was my life. And this just sucks. And it's just a reminder of bad times. You have to pivot your perspective. You can go down that dark path, that rabbit hole, so to speak, and allow yourself just to spin out of control. Don't allow yourself to fall into that trap. I know it is hard. I know that everything at the beginning stages of this is a reminder of all that has happened. But you deserve more than all of that. And that is the first step to getting your life back. Is just like, okay, you know what? I've been knocked down. I've lost everything. Maybe I'm not seeing my kids as the way I think I should. Maybe my reputation has been tarnished, destroyed. Just say, you know what? All right, whatever it is, that's the situation. I'm going to survive this. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to show everybody that I'm better than all of this crap. And every day that you can start thinking along those lines and all that crap, all that stuff that's like just hovering, maybe above your eyeballs and it's just like it all starts draining away. And then 9 years later, I think, is it 10? I got to look. I don't remember. You get to the point where it's like noise level. It's like you don't even, it barely affects you. And when you get there, then all this crap that you've been through, not that it's not I'm not saying, not that it's meaningless, because none of this is meaningless, but you'll realize that you've taken your power back. You've minimized what your ex has done to you, and you'll be on your way to living a better life. All right. That's my rant for this morning. I'm curious. What do you guys think? Does that make sense? Do you agree? Say agreed if you agree. If you're struggling on this and it feels like, I don't know, just say, I don't know if that, I don't know. Just IDK. Let me see what else is going on. Oh, I see. Oh, Katie says, yes, nature. Somebody was talking about nature. That is awesome. Speaking of that, day 2 of my other video, which isn't exciting as the first one, should be coming out soon. Oh, moderator Debbie is already sending me stuff, and I had to click on the right window. So let me see. Yes, post the Discord link. All right, I am going to, actually I got 2 callers in the queue. Let's we'll go to area code 646 first. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm hanging in there. Things are pretty intense. Just, first of all, to answer your question on the topic of the day, dealing with my life, it all depends on what's happening. I mean,
yeah, true.
A year ago, I was great. I met a woman at a bus stop because I was in such a good mood and ended up dating, and that was great. Didn't work out, and then things were fine. And then by the end of the year, I was dealing with an ATS investigation, which I won't get into the details on. But, that set me back, and that created a series of events, including COVID, which then it came in and set things in a whole different direction. And so, yeah, and then you start asking yourself as you see all these ups and downs, how do you get your life back? How do you deal with the real life as you deal with all of these setbacks? And, it's hard. It's really hard.
It is.
And the latest setback is parental alienation, which I've been dealing with for years, and you talked about many people deal with it, it exists on a spectrum, right? So right now, my daughter it's really started to kick in with her. And, so I was going to talk about like how you deal with the situation where it's happening in the moment, right? We talked about how you deal with it in the court and how you deal with it, long term, but what do you do in the moment? Like when they're, we've talked about that a little bit too. And, one thing I try to do is I never react to it. Because basically a lot of times it's a trap.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if they know this in advance or if they eventually figure it out as they go, but they realize the alienator, the narc, eventually realizes that not only do I get the kids to feel bad about the other parent, but I actually can recruit the kids to do this on their own. So like I only have to kind of set some traps, and if the other parent doesn't react properly, they kind of do the work for me. So as an example, what my ex has been doing lately is telling the kids that they need to leave at a certain time in the middle of my visit.
Right.
In the middle of our time. So the kids will then say, there's been a time when they don't even bring it up, and I know it was on their mind and they're stressed out, and I know because of text messages I get later that says the kids are angry because he doesn't let them go, and they said that. They asked you to leave at a certain time, and you said no, and that didn't even happen. So either she's lying or the kids are lying. I'm convinced the kids are lying too because they're just trying to cover themselves.
Yeah.
She's pressuring them to leave early. So in this case, on Sunday, she says, well, they want to leave at 3:30, and I just ignored it, and then I'm having a great time with the kids, and then 3 o'clock rolls around 3:15, and I see my daughter texting, and next thing you know, she's like, I want to leave. And I say, well, why do you want to leave? She says, I'm bored. And I didn't know how to deal with that. And so I said, first it upset me because she's never really said it that way direct to me. She's getting, more bolder with how she talks to me. This is all subtle, right? It comes out a little
Yep.
more every time. So this is like a sort of a big sort of shift. Like, wow, she's telling me she just wants to leave. So I said, well, if you talk to me, maybe you can go, but I want to understand it. She doesn't really like to talk about this stuff. So I talked to her, and she says that she's just bored, and she just keeps going around in circles. And I said, listen, we're just going around in circles. And then I started thinking, okay, well, we can go. And then I started thinking about, actually, I called my lawyer. He's like, well, it's really bad if you go. And then I think about it, too, and I'm like, she hasn't said anything. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then I turned to the kids, and I said, you know what, guys? We can't, this is a bad idea. You can't leave because you're bored. You're going to just be bored at mommy's house, right? Like you haven't told me anything you're doing over there. So, when we're having problems as a family, we don't just give up and leave. We figure it out. And if you're bored, you stay and we work through it. And, and they couldn't argue with that. And I don't know why I didn't think of that in the beginning. I think it just threw me so much that my reaction was like, oh man, like they're going to leave, and kind of gave up a little bit. And then I'm like, no, I got to deal with this. And I've talked to a few psychologists, then a couple, and they both told me I handled it right. But, the bigger point is that, you just get thrown into these situations and,
Oh yeah. Well, and you always have to be on, right? I mean, you always have to be thinking 9 steps ahead while you're being attacked, basically. No, you handled that right. And what I was going to say as you were saying that, just to dovetail with it, is if this is turning into a recurring pattern, you just need to say something like actually the way you did it, way you handled it is perfect, right? And I would say if it continues down this road, and this is just, maybe clarify with your attorney on this and just say, look, the orders say this, yes, I understand this is stressful, but this is the way it's going to be. It's non-negotiable. These are the times. It's written down. This is what we're doing. We're not talking about it anymore. And just, kind of, and I, as you were talking, I was thinking about, there were a few times in my situation. Keep in mind that a lot of this stuff that I figured out, I didn't know what I was dealing with until later. So I was kind of like where you're at, right? You're sitting there, you're in the running gun battle, so to speak, and you're trying to figure out how to deal with it in real time. So, but that was one of the things that I did do is I finally just said, look, court order says this is what the times are. It's non-negotiable. We're not switching it. We're not negotiating anything differently. We're not deviating from it. We're done. And that was how I finally...
I couldn't even say it that strongly because they have these psychologists. I'm always being advised on how to talk to them.
Right.
And, so it's a dance because you got to be firm.
Yep.
You absolutely have to be firm. But if you're too firm and the other parent is spoiling the heck out of them, and treating them like they're little adults, which is part of the alienation game.
You did it perfectly.
And all the alienation experts say if you try to give them too many limits in response, it'll backfire because that's that's the trap actually.
Yep,
so I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's just how you say it.
Dude, what I was trying to say, way you did it was perfect. Yeah. Was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
You did it with compassion, without stress or anger. You did it in an open way, in an open discussion. You were using logic that the kids could understand. You keep, that lather, rinse, and repeat on that. But I know what you're talking about because it's incredibly stressful because you feel like you're taking the most important test of your life every freaking time the kids walk in the door, and it feels like it's a pass fail. It's not like, okay, it's not really, but it feels like it. It feels like if I screw this up, everything's going to go down the crapper, and that adds more.
Oh yeah, you get triggered.
Oh, absolutely.
It puts you in a panic, and you try to control yourself. You're in the moment. You're with your kids. You're like, oh my god, and you realize I was so stressed. I was like, it was really getting to me, and that's when I had to kick in. And I realized, and then I said, guys, listen, you need to stay. You want to know why? Because I love you. And I'm your father, and this is what families do. They don't just, if things are having a little bit of a rough time, you don't just leave.
Right.
And it sounded so common, and they couldn't argue with that. It's like, I love you. I'm not trying to trap you. I'm your father.
Right.
It's not like I'm trying to keep you, but their mother somehow is planting this idea.
Oh, of course.
Either through suggestion or directly, that I'm somehow, their captor,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just nuts.
It is.
And I listen to them all the time. I mean, that's part of parental alienation, where you can make the kids, it's called adultification. You make them think it's their own decision. I mean, it's really,
it's
thing that people
insidious.
don't get about parental. It's not as simple as, somebody saying, you got to tell your father, you don't want to be with him, or your dad's a bad guy. It's much more complicated than that. These people who do it, it comes naturally to them. That's the thing. There's certain types of people who are naturally manipulative. There's certain types of person. They're usually people who are a little wacky, and they have personality disorder, as we all know.
Right.
Narcissism, borderline, cluster B. And the thing is, it's so not obvious, and it's not that different from like a cult leader. Because what does a cult leader do? It's somebody who's so full of themselves, right, that they think they can actually get people to worship them like a god. It's not that different, and it's the brainwashing and bringing them into the cult. My kids are being brainwashed, and it's like, and it's down to somebody who's not been through it. It sounds like, are you crazy? Brainwashing?
I know.
Nobody's ever even experienced brainwashing. I've never experienced it directly or indirectly or in any way, except maybe in a movie, or maybe watching David Koresh, burn him and his followers to death, or even Jim Jones when I'm old enough to remember when that happened. I was a little kid, so it's not that different,
No, it's not.
As a society, when we see that stuff, we see it as like, something from a fiction movie,
right?
And so like, it's really crazy. It's insidious. It's based on something that most people don't understand. I was talking about this when I called in before. Dr. Steve Miller has some really great videos. If you Google him, he has this where he gives testimony, and he talks about how the courts, the judges, psychologists don't only get it wrong, they get it backwards.
Yeah.
Where they usually look at the parent who's getting alienated as the problem maker.
Exactly.
Because you're getting all bent out of shape, and they're, it's like, sometimes I get political. I'm not going to say that.
Well, man, here's the thing. And we're kind of running out of time, so because there's another caller too. But I just want to say, the way you dealt with it was perfect. The way you explained, that was, you basically, that was like a home run. So, take that victory. And I know the dread that you have, because you're knowing it's, next time the kids come over, it's like going to be part 2. But that, and I appreciate
they don't want to see you now for 2 weeks. She already said they're not coming for 2, and I haven't seen them for like 60% of their time over the last month.
Yeah.
So things are pretty bad.
Aren't you going back to court now? Are you going back later this month?
We're in the middle of court. We're waiting for the judge in terms of some next step, which is a very unique thing. And if I talk about it, it'll probably be just too revealing.
Yeah. Okay.
We're unique. Yeah, we're in court though still.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for sharing that, man. I appreciate that, because that's a really good example of the right way to do it. So thanks for sharing that.
Thanks, Duane. Have a great day.
You too. And just to dovetail on that, it's so crazy. And he was right about how they just kind of instinctively know how to do this. One of the things I noticed in my situation, even when I was married, is the ex was a master at the double bind questions. It's like, I couldn't even figure out how in the hell she was able to do it. It's like, how can you formulate a question where there's no right answer? It's like, and it's like, even now, it's like really difficult for me to formulate a question like that, right? Because it's just, my mind doesn't work that way, right? If I'm trying to ask you a question, I want the real legitimate answer, and I don't want it to be a trap. But it's like, they can ask something, do you want to go to the store or not? Yes. Oh, you don't want to go? No, I do. Oh no, you know what I mean? It's like every answer is wrong. And when there's kids involved, it's super easy for them to play those stupid mind games. Let me just back up for a moment. To me, it felt like I was in the movie Inception all the time, and ideas were being incepted into the kids' mind. It's not as obvious as, your dad's a scumbag. It's amazing. I know I mentioned this in the past, but I've had conversations with some of my kids where they're convinced or were convinced that things were a certain way. Oh, mommy never talks bad about you. And then in the course of the conversation, details would be revealed where it's like, how in the hell is that not talking bad about somebody? You know? And it's more, well, manipulative, sadistic, nuanced. Ugh. Oh my God. Anyways, Will Hayes says, I hate the stupid questions. Oh my God, you guys were actually talking about, okay, I'm gonna go backwards. So Will Hayes says, I hate the stupid question. Let's see. Tim says, stupid questions, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Goose Lord, cool name, by the way. You can never win with somebody like that. Anyways, it's just crazy. Oh, Pepper Mishka, if I'm saying that correctly, says they plant seeds. That is absolutely true. Seeds of doubt. Tracker Pete says, cool name, by the way. I like that one too. She is triangulating really sick. Katie says they find opportunities to control even small things. It's insane. That is so true. John Boston says, DSD, mommy doesn't talk bad about you. However, kids don't call and visit. Yeah, actions speak louder than words. They absolutely do. We always have to remember that. Oh my gosh, I can't even say that. I'm gonna try this again to see if it can help me out. Mishare. I like says I hate mind games, and I have this going to the wrong speaker, so that probably sounded weird for you guys. All right, I do have another caller, so I'm going to go to them here. It's area code 269, and let me just hit the answer button. Whoa, hello, and welcome to the show.
Hello? Hi, thank you. It's Bill again, Duane. I wanted to touch off what the other caller said. When he said the word love, you hit it on the nail head. I've got a son and daughter, which I'm dealing with the same situation. My daughter says the magic word of bored. Amazing on how they all have the same deal. You mentioned Steve Miller, and one of Steve Miller's associates is Amy Baker. She's a PhD in parental alienation. She's wrote many books. I spoke with her back in July to formulate a strategy to be able to help my children. And she's got a book. It's called Co-Parenting with a Toxic Ex, What to Do When your ex-spouse turns your children against you. It's going to answer a lot of those questions that you just brought up and that what you read about when the kids come and ask you those crazy questions and what she's actually doing. The book isn't on your ex. There's no strategies or anything like that talking about subtlety. The book explains on how to communicate with your alienated kid being screwed up by that person, the relationship with them. When my kid asked me, am I a closet drinker and I don't drink alcohol, my answer was, well, you can check the closet and you can look for alcohol if that's what you want to do. He didn't want to hear that. When I read the book, I understand that what my kid wanted to know, are you okay? Can I love you?
Good point.
That's what the kid wants to know. The kid doesn't want to know, doesn't want you spent you spent all the money or you abused or no. They want to know, are you safe enough for me to love you? Because someone's telling me that I shouldn't. And the other one is for your kids to help with your children. Amy Baker, once again, has got a workbook for children. Getting through parents' divorce, a workbook coping with divorce and parental alienation, loyalty conflict. What the last caller was talking about was a severe loyalty conflict. It isn't there's different categories of how they behave and what the abuser is doing. And what I want to say is that if you can spot what the kid's coming out of the kid's mouth, you're going to have a much clear idea on how to help the kid deal with those feelings, because they rev them up and then they give you the problem. So they preload the kid, and then you get the kid, and the kid is, my son tells me he hates me. My son tells me I lie to him. And after my kid resets and I am able to have him for 3 hours and he gets through his temper tantrums and stuff, he tells me he doesn't know why he does this stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what do you want me to do? And he told me, he says, Dad, I just want you to wait and love me. Do
Yep.
what you've been doing. That's what really helps. And they don't, the children, anything that a kid does, whatever, the toxic person will make them lie to the point of
Yep.
it's ridiculous. And they're going to lie about you. And then when you're around, like the cult leader and they're all drinking the Kool-Aid, the kid comes out of that compound, literally, they're going to believe everything that's going on.
Right.
And you can't get angry at it. You've got to understand that you can't. The problem is us, because we expect the kid to be normal. Just because you split up doesn't mean you sabotage the other parent.
Right.
And
Right.
you got to get out of that mindset. You got to be ready to unconditionally love your kid and say, hey, I know you got a problem. You got to be a super parent, literally.
Yeah.
And my son has told me countless times that my ex wants us to fight, get mad, and they want to use that triangulation. It's no different than turning your friend against you or your aunt or the church, or it's triangulation. It's the same tactic, and they're going to repeat it. And whatever you don't like, if you tell your kid you don't like cheeseburgers, they're going to fight over cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
This is where you document this for the court. I bought a body cam, and I used that because she's saying that I'm making the children say these bad things, and that she wants me to send my videos to the children's psychologist where she triangulated them, and I can't go and see them. They won't make an appointment for me.
Right.
But she wants me. My children tell me they want me to send those videos of the kids acting out to the psychologist and blame mom for it because she's perfect.
Right.
They have an agenda for the triangulation.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's to make them look good. It is to make them look good and you look bad. That is the goal. And the kids, well,
are stuck in the middle.
The kids are just torn up. And the one thing that you can't do is lose control. And that isn't just anger, upset. Control will be lose control of yourself to be able to help them get through this. Because, they're literally coming out of prison. Like you say, doing time.
Yeah.
Like you did time. Yeah.
No, you're right. And in everything
So
you're talking about, I normally describe it as Groundhog Day, right? That's why I say whenever the kids come back, you have to give them time to acclimate. And if you try to rush in saying, okay, hey, you're back here, it's like you never left. If you try, I just made my eye twitch just thinking about it. You're going to sabotage yourself. It's a really
well. You don't warn them. You don't warn them either. You don't say, well, we're not going to have a problem with homework. We're not going to.
No, you don't make attention to it. You just kind of let it, just let it transition.
Right, and you don't, because it's like they fought like cats and dogs or whatever the last time you were with them.
Yeah.
It was a horrible time. You don't say, are we going to have a bad time or good? You don't do that. What you do is when the problem comes up, then you deal with it, because what the ex has done is laid out a new agenda, and then if you bring up the old agenda, now you've got two agendas to fight.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. Oh, and you'll absolutely sabotage yourself if you do that. And you have an extended period of time, you can pretty much rest assured that your entire time is going to be ruined if you take the bait when they come over like that. It's it's a trap. It is absolutely a trap.
Wait for your kid to show you the wound. Help the kid with the wound. Don't talk about all the other times that the kid's been wounded.
Right.
That is the recurring. And this is what we do. We're normal parents. You're like, you know what, you did this. You remind them. You tell them you're not going to tolerate it, and we do this. And the ex knows you do this.
Oh yeah, they know.
And
they're expecting you. They're expecting you to do it.
Yeah.
They're counting on it.
And that.
If you want to drive them crazy, is don't take their bait. Don't play their play. Don't play the game or don't play their part in their play. and it'll drive them crazy. Sometimes they'll actually implode on themselves and expose themselves too.
Exactly. So the trick is document, video, record it, get all your evidence, write everything down, play the game.
Yeah.
And sometimes when the kids get really aggravated with the ex, and they are mad at her, they sing like a canary. They got no problem. And other times they will tell the stuff. They will try to gaslight you.
Yep.
If she knows, like I've got my police cam and I wear it, and I got a remote control where I can turn it on and off. The kids never know when I'm recording them.
Right.
And if they're talking freely, I know that she's told them to say it.
Mm.
You see?
Yep.
And that's that gaslighting to get my reaction out of it. And I just record it, go, okay, and then move on to another topic. But I've used the camera to protect myself because I know that she's trying to build a case against me so that she can get full custody of the children. Because my kids have told me that she says that she's going to end our relationship 5,000 times, is what they told me that she said. That's her agenda.
Yeah.
And if she can't do it in the courtroom, she's going to do it to make the kids not want to be with her.
Yeah.
So you just got to be on top of it. And those 2 books, that really helps because the emotional part of it explains to the kids what to do. It's the workbook. And Amy set that up. And I have to say, she's expensive, but what I have to say is that she understands this stuff really well. And I just wish that lady had a YouTube channel like you. I mean, but
yeah,
it isn't that we can't help each other and get through this stuff. But
yeah, I am going to try to reach out and see if I can bring her on the show. I don't know if she does show.
You should do that.
Do podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
She's
right.
It's on my list of things to do.
My attorney. I'm sorry, my attorney that I've got, that super expensive one that teaches other attorneys.
Oh yeah, right.
They were on a board together.
Oh, okay.
And he recommended that I talk with her because he's too expensive to talk to educate me on anything. He said, talk with her. She'll explain you what to read. And I said, okay. So I paid the money on, called her on the telephone, and we had an hour. And then she told me what books to buy.
Cool.
And Lord God, that really helped me out.
No, that's good. I'm gonna have to get those. I haven't read those. I'll have to pick those up.
They're good. Yeah.
Well, man,
especially the dealing with the ex.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Good luck. Best wishes. Love your show.
Thanks, man. It's psychological warfare. That's what we're dealing with. Thank God that there are actually more resources out now to help people understand what you're dealing with and to give you techniques and different ways to deal with it in the appropriate way. For anyone who is watching or listening on the podcast, I was showing, as the last caller was talking those books, I was bringing them up. I'll try to put links to those in the show notes so you can check them out. And if anybody knows or has any interaction with Amy Baker, mention that she should take a morning and come on the show, and I'll try to reach out to her. I had a bunch of stuff I was going to try to do yesterday, but my real job got in the way, so to speak, and I spent most of pretty much the entire day trying to catch up on just tedious paperwork. It was so frustrating because I had things on my reminder list, people I wanted to contact, shows I wanted to coordinate. Speaking of that, I just want to say tomorrow, Melissa Isaac is supposed to be on the show. I'll confirm that up later today. I'll create the notes and everything for that. So she'll be the guest tomorrow to talk about legal stuff. I am going to try to talk to her about gals and other stuff. Again, if anybody has any specific issues you would like me to ask, get it to me somehow. Comment on this video. Probably now at this stage of the game, the best scenario would be to just send me an email. The links are in the description. And then I can work that into the discussion or the show discussion. Oh, T Solo says, I missed that. Says, I think a really good topic would be a refresher on triangulation and how to deal with it. Good, I will add that into an upcoming show. Man, easy for me to say. All right, I want to look through the comments a little bit. I know moderator Debbie was sending me some comments. Let me just look through those real quick. Oh, this is good. Oh man, this is going to be so far back. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this. Oh, I did ask the company that creates this software. I'm like, you should add a search thing into the comments in the reactions window. And they're like, hey, that doesn't work, but we'll put that on the list, or we'll at least, put it up as a suggestion. Okay, I can't find it, so I'm just going to read it. So, Node says, DSD, I'm curious if you have anything to say about the delays the ex may cause in court to drag things out while wasting money. Yes, take a deep breath on it. Understand that they're going to do it. Understand you're just dumping extra money on the ground. Just remember that this is a small moment in time on your experience, even though it doesn't feel like it, because I'll tell you, when I was going through that, it was driving me crazy. I'm like, oh my God, why isn't this over? She's not answering the information. She's prolonging the evaluation. My thing got pushed back months because the ex wouldn't set the appointment up with the custody evaluator and then wouldn't answer questions that the evaluator had. And it just kept pushing things farther and farther out. And I'm like, oh my God, when is this going to frickin' end? Part of the whole drama with this is this type of thing. So the main thing on it is just understand that. And what I wish I could have looked at and said, okay, you know what? It's going to take a few more months, but in my situation, a few more months, and I have 12 years left of this, right? So in the grand scheme of thing, a couple of months in 12 years is not a big deal. It's annoying. And back then I was really frustrated because I didn't want her to get anything more than she was entitled to, because she loved to throw that word around. I want what I'm entitled to. Bobblehead. I'm doing the bobblehead thing again. And it was just really, bottom line is take a deep breath on it. Understand that they're going to delay, keep on your attorney and people to try to keep pushing it along. Because the flip side to it is if you just don't do anything with it, it'll just keep getting delayed more and more and more. To be honest, when I sued her after I sued her in small claims court, whenever she basically came back and tried to take all the retirement money and I put an action against that, I was delaying that because I'm like, you know what? This isn't hurting me. This isn't changing anything. It's all that's going to happen is when this gets resolved, she's going to get a wad of cash. All we're trying to figure out is the pile of the money that she's going to get. And I was actually starting to make my attorney mad because okay, this is kind of a dick move, but what I would do is they would wait until like a couple days before we had a court date. It's like, well, this is our new deal. And my attorney would look at it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Okay, let me look at it and think about it. We need to delay this. And that's what I kept doing. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I would say, okay, well, we need to delay because I don't know. I need more time to think about this. I don't know what I think. And they're like, And finally what my attorney did, he's like, look, I'll cut $1,000 off your bill if you just agree and we just stop this. I'm like, oh. Now, what I didn't realize is that, attorneys can just not fabricate. I actually like my attorney. He wasn't bad, but that $1,000 that he took off freaking got added right back on with, extra paperwork and stuff like that. It was pretty annoying. I got to send them a bill. I'm still paying on that. I'm down to the last few $100s. I've just been so broke lately. Channel memberships help that I haven't been able to finish that off. Sorry. I hope you guys don't mind the sick humor on that. But anyways, I digress. So that's my take on that. Let's see. Okay. Well, I guess Will had said, thank you for taking time out of your life, your sleep to help us out here. It's much appreciated. Well, I thank you so much, Will. I wish I would have saw that whenever you wrote that. I appreciate that, man. That's awesome. Let's see. Okay. Ooh, Dana says, I have put, let me try that again. I have put all my energy into working out and running, literally going to be as strong as Superwoman after all this crap. Good for you. And the thing is that doing that is what, and I always struggled with physical fitness. I know that it helps increase your mood and make you feel better and all that stuff. And even with that, I just have such a hard time on that. So Dana, good for you. That is awesome. Ooh, Mr. Man says, I got my final divorce papers. Mr. Man, does that mean that it's done and you're divorced? Or does that mean that you got the paperwork, now you just have to agree to it, and then you're closer to being almost done? And oh my God. Oh, I want to find this one. Katie, what you said is super, super, super important. Where is it? Wow, Katie, you're having a lot of conversation today. Where is it? I want to highlight this comment. Dang it. I'm getting closer to just giving up and just reading it from what moderator Debbie had sent to me. Wow, there's a lot of chat today. Okay, I'm about ready to just punt on it. And wow, they really have to add a search feature on this. This is so not the way to do it. Okay, I'm punting. Katie says, found out my ex took my old phone, which he used to monitor, and reactivated it. And anyone who had my old phone number, he pretends it's me. Oh my God. I'm not even sure how you could fix that one, right? I mean, if you changed your number and it was available and he was able to get that number turned back on, that's messed up, obviously. Guys, here's the other thing you have to remember, especially, I don't know so much if this is how this works on Android, but on iPhone, if somebody has a device and knows the password and can turn it back on, they have access to your emails, they have access to your text messages, they have access to potentially your phone calls, depending on how it's tracked. It is really important that if you have old devices that you turn all the features off, like you clear it, you log it out of your account. You should look into, if you have multiple devices and you're worried about this, you can log into your iCloud account and see what devices are associated with your account and shut them off. You should turn on two-factor authentication. It's not foolproof, but it's better than nothing. And the at least the nice part about two-factor authentication is you are going to get notified on your device if somebody is trying to turn on another device, which, sometimes it's as simple as it pops up and you just say yes, and then you type in a code. But so if somebody does that remotely, I even have that with old devices that the batteries have died, I haven't turned on. As soon as I turn them on, my computer is notifying me saying, hey, this iPad or this whatever, this old iPhone or whatever is accessing your account. It's like, hey, just a reminder. So that way you know. Sometimes it'll freak you out because you'll do it, and then by the time you get it, it'll pop up, and then because of the way the internet tracking works, it'll say that it's in a different state, and you'll freak out because you'll be like, oh my God, somebody's trying to access my account. But so all that stuff's super important because these people will do crap like that. I can believe it. I was going to say, well, I can't believe somebody would do that. But I say that because none of us would do that. We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't be that manipulative to reactivate a device and then masquerade as our ex to get information and intel. Besides, Yeah, I mean, a few people will fall for it, but I mean, God, most people aren't. And potentially, you could be committing a crime depending on where you're at. Ugh, that's annoying. But I'm glad you asked that, Katie. I wish I would have found the comment so I could have highlighted it. Let's see. And then Shane had said, my son said to me yesterday, quote, Mom says that she always gets dragged into stuff when we're with you. My ex says she never says anything bad about me, and so do the kids. It's just like you said. Yeah. And it makes you go nuts because you're like, it's happening. It's real. Everyone's like, oh, I never talk bad about, I never talk bad about Shane. Oh, I don't know what, he's just paranoid. It's too bad that your dad's paranoid, right? I mean, it's crazy. And it drives you crazy. All right, I'm scrolling down to the bottom. The Wise Chat Manager says DSD or any supply will do, any at all. That is so very true. That is very true. So, Wise Chat Manager says, wipe them, change all passwords. Yeah, one of the things, Allswell says, I changed all my passwords once I figured out my ex was psycho. Nice. One of the things I do for password management, and I actually like on Chrome, and maybe this is not a great way to do it, but this is just what I've done, is I have like 2 main passwords that I use to like get into my personal system. And then everything else, I let the computers generate passwords, either through Chrome or Safari, depending on what I'm on a Mac. So, whatever, but that way, and then have it store it, right? Now, if somebody can compromise, like on Chrome, if somebody can compromise my Google account, then, they can get to everything. But it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, so I'm not using the same password at every place, and I'm not I'm just not using them at every place, and then I have it be this crazy one that needs to be figured out. So I know this isn't a tech channel, but if you don't understand any of this, I would just do some YouTube search, and you'll find some videos that cover it. Oh, namaste. Okay, that's good. It says get out of cloud services too. Yeah, I agree with you, but I got so much in the cloud. I've kind of committed to that. So, but if you're not, and it doesn't inhibit your workflow, then that would be good too. For me, with the way I do things, it's one of those calculated risks that I take. But I would say that if you're in the start of this, and your ex has any computer skills, then I would definitely shut things down, because it's so easy if somebody can compromise your stuff to get a lot of information. Corey says, yes, it's all about winning. Oh, this is a good one. Allswell says, even just looking at them gives them supply. That is so, it is. Any attention. Good it doesn't even have to be positive attention. It could just be looking at them with hate and disdain. Then they're like, yes, I know that they're thinking about me. It's crazy. I mean, can you imagine for a moment? I know we're running out of time. Just imagine being that person, that's your life. What a sorry existence. You can't have any joy or real genuine joy or relationships when that's your mindset. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Oh, this is good. Scott Comrie says, cloud services are good in the event you lose access to a physical device for any given reason. Good point. And I will say that there was I had a bunch of emails and stuff. I'm trying to remember what happened. Something happened with like my Yahoo account, and it's like this whole period of time, everything got lost. And it was information that I really, really, really wanted to keep. My backup system for that information was not very well. Anyways, we are about out of time, so thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for our conversation with Melissa Isaac. It should be outstanding. I do want to say thank you to all the channel members who support the channel. Thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot. Be kind to yourself. Don't let these people break you. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.